Welcome to the Shields on Hoops podcast. I'm Brandon Shields with my co-host Nick Peckham here. We are here for episode, oh man, is it 9? I think it's 9.
Number
Yeah.
nine.
Episode 9 in this early season. Syracuse just coming off an 89-77 win over Canisius. Sorry for those of you who picked Syracuse on the spread. Little last second dunk there. Dropped it from 14 to 12. Sorry about that. The Orange play pretty well, right? Offensively, obviously, there's some things that we'll talk about that were really good. There are some things that probably the same concerns any of you have as far as defense and offensive rebounding goes. We'll also talk about that a little bit. Like usual, Nick, you want to kick us off with your just kind of first off the brain thoughts? I know you were there tonight.
Yeah, being live at the game, I got the sense that it was, well, first of all, it was a great atmosphere. It wasn't sold out at all, but it was a great atmosphere. People were into the game. So it kind of, and the game being back and forth at the end kind of made it a little bit fun for everybody. I know there was probably some people that it wasn't as fun for, but you just got the sense that offensively, Syracuse figured a lot out. And especially playing a team that, like, these guys competed. All hands, or I'll give all hands to Canisius. They competed at a high level. All 10 guys that came in the game. So they definitely Syracuse had their work cut out, but to score 89 points and look as efficient for most of the game as they did offensively was very impressive to me. They seemed to be able to run more sets in the half court. I know that was a big thing we talked about earlier, was what happens when you can't push the ball. We saw that a lot tonight, half-court offense, and it looked a whole lot better than it did in Game 1 against New Hampshire. Very impressive, things looking up on that end. Obviously, defensively, giving up 77 points, you really don't want to do, especially to a team like this. But, again, Canisius hit 10 threes. They were 10 of 22, so they shot 45.5% from three, which is actually really good. They hit some deep threes late. Kind of let them hang around here and there, but they battled all night. So Syracuse never really got to run away with it. But overall, I would say it was a very impressive showing from Syracuse, especially the couple guys that we mentioned earlier that we were looking for tonight. I think they all played a huge role. So obviously a lot of positives moving forward. Still no update on Benny Williams from anybody, but we'll see what happens for Tuesday when we play Colgate.
Yeah, so they get 6 days off to, again, watch some more film and figure some things out. And, yeah, it's like we said this morning on the pre-pod. Well, I know I mentioned I'd like to see them just swing the ball and then drive instead of just, instead of one pass, drive it. Like they did a much better job of swinging, rotating, get the defense moving, at least having them interchange a little bit. And then that kind of opens things up for driving instead of like guys just sitting there in the paint waiting for you to drive. At least get some movement going. So I thought they did a lot better job with that offensively. Obviously, shots going in like threes were helpful. And yeah, I mean, not as much in transition. Canisius took decent care of the ball today and did a pretty good job of getting back on defense, which is even more impressive given how many offensive rebounds they had. But yeah, I thought that the offense played better. I thought the defense still has some of the same concerns. I thought that the offensive rebounding still needs some fixing. And I think a lot of that is without having Benny Williams out there. I think that's where Syracuse is missing Benny the most, is on the glass and cleaning that up and not giving up second chance points. Because some of these matchups, right, like Benny versus a guy like Mitchell, like obviously Mitchell's probably still stronger than Benny, but like with Benny's length and strength combination, like Malik is long, but he's just not as strong as Benny. Obviously we know McLeod just doesn't have that lateral movement, but with guys like that, I mean, that's where I think we're missing. I think we're missing his defensive versatility a lot. I think we're missing his defensive rebounding as well. So I think that's been glaring for me. And I think we're going to have him back eventually. So that's why I keep talking about it. Like if I thought he was like gone, then we could just move on. But I do think he'll be back, and I think he'll make a difference in those areas.
Yeah, I will say one thing. Obviously, there's no update on Benny, but if anybody follows William Patterson on Instagram, he posted on his story about 25 minutes ago. He was in the gym working after the game, and Benny was in the gym with them working out. So obviously, he's still around the facility. He's still around the team. He doesn't look like a Debbie Downer in the photo, but obviously he's still around the team, so that's a good sign moving forward. It's not like he's away from the team or at home or anything like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Let's look at some stats real quick. Look at some team stats first.
I'll start if you want. I got one
go
for you.
Go for it. Yeah, give me one. Let's hear it.
Obviously, we talk about two big things that we've talked about a lot on these are offensive rebounding, which you mentioned, and 3-point shooting. Canisius had 37 total rebounds. Actually, Syracuse and Canisius both finished the game with 37 rebounds. Canisius did have 16 rebounds offensively, so almost half of their rebounds came from on the offensive glass. Something that Syracuse obviously has to clean up. But you mentioned it, not having Benny, and out of the 16, 5 of them came from Mitchell, who we mentioned earlier as being a 6'8", 240-pound forward. So Syracuse just physically didn't match up with him as well tonight. But obviously not having Benny, and I don't know, I just get the feeling that the Malik Brown at the 5 probably won't happen much later into the season. He just doesn't, I don't know, it seems odd with him. He doesn't seem like the same player he was last year. I don't know if that's because he's out of position a lot or what.
I feel like he can't. He isn't able to clean up as much when he's playing 5.
So
like it felt like Jesse last year would play 5, and Jesse would kind of do his job and get so much attention, and Malik would kind of slither in there and kind of be in the right spot at the right time. When Malik is the main guy responsible, the main 5 responsible for that, I don't feel like we said, it doesn't play to his personal strengths. So anyway, keep going.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, I mean, him being at the 5, a lot of guys, when he's playing the 5, they try to drag him out to the 3-point line with shooters. So that way, I mean, if you look at the floor, when he was playing the 5, it was a lot of 2 guards and either Justin Quadir or Chris Bell Quadir. So why not pull their biggest player out to the 3-point line and then have your 4 other guys against their smaller guards, or not smaller guards, but their guards. And now it's a 50-50 shot at who gets the rebound instead of Malik just chilling in the paint, cleaning the glass. Exactly. So I think that's something that they'll have to work on. I do think eventually it will get better. And then the 3-point shooting, obviously we talked about Canisius. They shot 10 of 22, 45.5%. I mean, it is what it is, I guess, at that point. But Syracuse did shoot 7 of 19, 36.8% on the box score. So we talked about a number that we've been throwing out there is around 35 to 38%. So they shot decently from 3 tonight. 7 of 19 isn't horrible. But like we mentioned, I mean, 12 of the 19 threes they shot came from Chris Bell and Justin Taylor. So that's what you want to see. You want your guys shooting threes who are supposed to be shooting threes. So I thought on the 3-point line, they were a lot better tonight than they have been early in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And just even efficiency wise, a lot better tonight. When I'm looking at these numbers here, at points per possession, 1.27 points per possession, 1.18 points per shot attempt, 1.22 points per 2, 1.11 points per 3. When those are all above 1, that's a very good thing. The only issue is all of Canisius's was above 1 as well. So he'd like to have yours are 1 or 1.1, and Canisius at 0.9. It's kind of the goal. But they were also efficient. Canisius was for different reasons, right? They got a lot of putbacks. They got a lot of they had some tough shots for sure. But Syracuse did some tough 2s tonight as well. J.J. Starling had a bunch of tough 2s as well. Syracuse took care of the ball. They won the turnover battle as far as percentage goes. But again, the alarming thing for me, Canisius, out of the possible rebounds they could have gotten on the offensive glass, they got 40% of their misses. Okay, and that's that's not a very good number, right? And in considering who you're playing, I understand Mitchell's a big kid and he's strong and physical, but to give up that many of your offensive rebounds is still very alarming for me. Because again, Canisius is a 260, 270 Ken Palm team, and they are in the MAC. Like they're not who Syracuse is going to play. So I think that is still an area that's going to be cleaned up. I'm interested to see how they do that, or if they even can at this point. Favorite stat of the night for me is assist turnover ratio 1.6. So they did a great job of sharing the ball tonight. They also did a good job of taking care of it. I think that's a very big key for this team going forward. So I mean, just a lot of good things all around. I think a lot of the guys did a lot of really good things. I don't think anybody played poorly when we're speaking on the offensive end.
I will say they made 35 field goals as a team throughout the game, and they had 16 assists. So just under 50% of their field goals were assisted on. That's a very good number. I think one thing that Syracuse should shoot for this season is having a mark for an assist, like team assist for a game, especially with the guards and playmakers they have on this team. I think anywhere between 18 and 20 assists a night should be a number that Syracuse should shoot for. Obviously, moving forward, getting guys comfortable playing with each other. Again, not having Benny. I mean, but that could be another 3 assists on the night, or even another 4 assists from other players passing to him. Just little things like that. But 18 to 20 should be a number that Syracuse definitely should shoot for night in and night out.
Yeah, agree. So that's a solid number as long as the shots are going in. All right, so let's talk about each of these guys real quick, and we'll have some finishing thoughts here. Let's start with Naheem McLeod. I thought he was excellent to start the second half. I think that was his good stretch.
Yes.
He had a good start of the first half too, really. I mean, Red was going to yank him, and he got a bucket, and he stayed in. But 7 points, 9 rebounds, 3 for 3 from the field, 5 block shots. I thought he did a lot of things. Guys sometimes kind of get leverage and sneak in on him, but I thought he was that's the best I've seen him play as a Syracuse player, right? I think he was very, very effective. And I honestly, I'd like to see them go to him a little bit more. Maybe not necessarily in situations where I don't know how much he's going to be able to post up and score with his back to the basket, but just driving. And I mean, because it's not going to be difficult to just throw that thing up there to him. I think that they're going to have to get creative in how they use him in pick and rolls, because teams are going to sag, and Judah and JJ are both not great 3-point shooters. So I think when you get into conference play, that a lot of teams are going to kind of have their bigs just kind of like they did last year, honestly, with Judah and Jesse. Like they know, well, what's Edwards going to do? Is he going to pick and pop? No. is he going to roll the elbow? No, he's going to the rim. So they kind of started to sag. And if you remember, at the end of the year, teams were just sitting off and just making Judah shoot threes over those pick and rolls. Yes. And they were playing the percentages, because they knew, well, okay, if Mintz drives it, he's going to get fouled, or he's going to hit Edwards on a lob, or he can kick out to Gerard or Bell or whoever else. But if we just sit here and we'll just play the odds on him, eventually he's going to start missing. Honestly, it worked last year. So that was the big kind of hang up with Judah, and where his shooting kind of really started to be alarming, because teams started to scout it that way and play it that way. So I think you'll see a lot of the same, but the problem is the same thing. It's the same thing with Malik, right? Like the only player that could really set ball screens and be a double threat is Benny Williams, right? he's the only one that can kind of do that and change up the defensive coverages on that, because teams will sag. But anyway, we talked before we got on. We can talk about it now. Like the inbounds play on the baseline it's driving me insane, because you have a 7'4" guy and he doesn't have to score. Just throw it up there to him. Just put him next to the rim and just throw it up there. I don't care if he hands it right back off, like every team does in America, right? Just throw it to that guy and hand it right back off to Judah. I don't think it's a Judah thing. I think it's that the play sucks. And it's a simple screen-to-screener action, and it worked in the exhibition games, but these teams are too good for that stuff to work. They're going to have to do something different in it. I don't mind the alignment. I like the triangle alignment in that, but I do think that they have to be a little more creative with it. And maybe they will when conference play. Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't want to show everything right now, and that could be the case too. But I think the best safety outlet they have if that inbounds play is just throwing it up there.
Yeah, just
letting him do his thing. What's going to happen? Just throw it up
there.
7'4".
He's gonna most times you hit him in the hand and
keep it high, and then come get it from him if he can't score. So anyway, your thoughts on Naheem today?
Like you said, I thought Naheem played great. He only played 18 minutes, but he had 7 points, 9 rebounds, 5 blocks, and there was actually early in the game and late in the first half, I will say, there was a couple blocks where he just missed them. He was a little bit late on rotation, so he really probably could have had up near 7 or 8 blocks in this game. I thought he was a big presence inside the paint on both ends of the floor. I would have liked to see a little bit more than 18 minutes, but hey, 7 points, 9 rebounds, 5 blocks is amazing for a guy that you're not. I mean, that's what you want him to do, is clean up the glass and be a rim protector.
If that's the stat line, I'm very happy. I'm very happy for sure. JJ, I thought was super aggressive from the jump today. I thought he set the tone pretty early, and I was really pleased with how aggressive he was. 17 points, 7 assists, 7 rebounds. I know Judah had his 26, but I think JJ Starling's player of the game in this one, in my opinion, right? I just think he did a lot of things really well. If he could have made some free throws, it probably would have been.
It was 1 of 5. That was the one negative on him.
It was rough for a while there, but again, 17, 7, and 7. I thought he had the ball in his hands more tonight. Like I especially in the beginning, like you could see Mintz was kind of trying to let the game come to him a little bit in the beginning of the game, I thought. And it's weird with Judah. Like he either is like uber aggressive or he's like too chill. Like
there's no in between.
You know what I mean? Like that's what I was feeling. Like I was like, okay, all right, Judah, you can start cooking a little bit here now. Like, so it's just kind of like he's just finding that balance. But but that's what he's going to do today as well. We can talk about Judah now as well, but he's going to just kind of hit his stride at certain phases of the game where he's just going to go crazy like he did tonight. But I thought Starling was really aggressive. I thought he hit some tough shots. And I think that, again, he's going to be maybe even more so than Mintz, that kind of late clock guy. Just because I think I think Mintz is better at getting to the rim, but I think Starling is a little bit better of a scorer from different spots on the floor than Mintz.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No,
I think Judah shoots it a little bit better. I think he finishes the rim a little bit better, gets to the foul line more. But I think Starling's game in that kind of 8 to 15 foot range makes him really tough. I think his arsenal is tough to defend. So I thought this was his best game out of the 4 so far. Starling, except maybe Damon was good, but it felt like Damon, but Judah was on the floor at the same time, which was really good to see. I like seeing that a lot.
Yeah. I'll start off with Judah. I did think, like you said, early in the game, it seemed like Judah was trying to let the game come to him. There was one play in particular I noticed where I want to say number 44, he was the point guard for Canisius. He kind of took it to the rim and scored over Judah and kind of got into a full court press and got in Judah's chest. Mm-hmm. And he kind of looked over at the bench, and I don't know if it was GMAC or Alan Griffin. One of them kind of looked at Judah, and you saw Judah's demeanor change. Yeah. And it kind of like they were like, calm down, but now it's time to go to work. Yeah. And he took over. There was a stretch in the second half where he scored 12 straight. I think he had 3 and 1s. He hit a 3, got an and 1, drove twice, got an and 1. So,
a lot of different ways.
Judah's just got to figure out when to flick that switch. I think that's the next step in his game. Every great point guard that you noticed, they all know when it's their time, right? You got to play the game, and you get your teammates involved, feel out the game, and then you notice at times in the game Judah will be ultra aggressive, and he's like, okay, now it's my time. Let's stretch this lead out a little bit. So I did think he played very great tonight. 26 points, 8 of 15 from the field, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 8 of 9 from the free throw line. But JJ, I know I mentioned this in our pregame podcast that we did. I was very curious to see how they played JJ, how he got more involved in the offense. Tonight was great. Like you said, 17 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. He was also 8 of 15 from the field. He played 36 minutes tonight, and I thought he was great. Outside of his 1 from 5 from the free throw line, which when he hit that one, he looked up at the sky like, can they start falling now? So, but I thought he was great. Like you said, I thought if I had to give a player of the game, it'd definitely go to JJ tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But he just made some moves. Very decisive, got to the rim. I love how he controls his body when he gets hit, when he goes to the rim. He takes bumps, and they don't really affect him at all. And it was nice to see late in that game, they kind of put the ball in JJ's hands and let him go to work. And Judah kind of played off of JJ, so that was kind of nice to see. I mean, this is what these games are for early in the season, right? Is to figure out. And again, Syracuse has had 2. They ended up being 10-point plus wins, right? But 2 games where it was close late, and they had to figure out how to pull away, right? And last game, it was Justin Taylor made some massive plays to pull away. And tonight, I think JJ and Judah made massive plays to pull away. So he's just trying to figure out who plays in certain situations and things like that. But JJ was phenomenal tonight. I know he'll be mad about his 1 for 5 from the free throw line. But I will say, Q Sports Talk, shout out to them. They were in the locker room after the game, and they tweeted some things that they noticed inside the locker room. And one thing that a lot of people kept saying was how JJ looks more comfortable, and it's coming quicker than the coaching staff may have thought, and quicker than teammates may have thought. But he definitely tonight looked very comfortable in that offense.
Yeah, I think so too. The flow was definitely there for him. Yeah, he was clicking. We'll talk about Bell and Taylor next. Chris Bell had 12, scoring in different ways than we've seen before. So, he's been very good at a couple of nice drives tonight, which were a little unexpected, hanging in the air and making some nice plays. Had a nice little putback. And then, he hit 2 threes as well. So I do think he's putting a little pressure on himself to shoot it well. Every time he hits a 3, he kind of does like a finally kind of thing, right? Like it's like he's in his head. He's like, oh, thank God, finally. It's like I think the more he's going to see it go in, the better. But yeah, I think that again, probably would have liked to see him rebound a little bit better. I think he got kind of bodied on 1 or 2 tonight, but for the most part this year, that's been definitely improved. But yeah, he's a scorer. He took 12 shots, 2 for 6 from 3, which is right at 1 point per shot, which is what you want. Like we say 35-40 as a magic number, but really 33.3 is, if we're talking analytics, that's where people want you to be. I'm still waiting for that mid-range jumper to start falling. I think it will, but yeah, it's just nice to see him do other things beyond just catch and shoot 3 like he did last year. And then obviously Justin Taylor, 38 minutes tonight, 13 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. Again, he's making it hard for the coaching staff to not play him. He's just doing a lot of things really well. He's playing hard. He's shooting it with confidence. And again, 2 for 6 it doesn't sound great, but we'll take it. So like we usually do, right? So between those 2 guys, 25 points, 9 rebounds, 4 for 12 from 3, 10 for 22 overall. Those are numbers that I can live with between those guys for sure. And again, for both of them, it's been nice to see them
coexist on the floor together.
Coexist and get to the rim a little bit more. And I think that Justin Taylor is going to be a problem as a junior and senior. I think he is going to be a serious problem for people. Because you can see the flashes of him. He's got a little more dog in him than I think a lot of people kind of give him credit for. He's just kind of got that mentality, and I think that he is going to take off. I think he's going to have a great year this year, but I think he's going to take off as a junior and senior. I I actually think maybe I think his ceiling's probably higher than Bell's. I think Bell's going to keep getting better, but I think Justin Taylor has a chance to be, I know we all say it, very similar to Buddy, as being able to score from all, but I think he can drive it better than Buddy can. I think Buddy's a little bit better shooter, but I think Taylor can handle it a little bit better right now. Regardless, he's going to be one of those guys who can score from all three levels, which is going to be very tough to defend, I think, in the future. What are your thoughts on Bell and Taylor?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much else to say about Bell. I thought he played overall. I thought he played a really good game tonight. Like you said, he scored in different ways. I was very impressed with that offensive rebound where he kind of put it back, tipped it in over one of the Canisius players. Really got his guys hyped, the crowd hyped. Like you said, when he shoots his threes, it kind of looks like when it goes in, like, thank God. Like, I know he put a lot of work in this summer, but the guys got to realize this is only the second game of the season, the fourth game they've played overall. So, like, it's still early. Shots are going to fall. Just trust your shot, trust your teammates.
Yeah.
Things will work out good. But I mean, Justin Taylor, you texted me earlier when we during the game, and you were like, he's making it hard for coach to take him off the floor. I mean, he played 38 minutes tonight, and I thought he was amazing all over the floor. Defensively, rotations on defense, knowing where to be on offense, being in the right spots, driving the ball, kicking it, being aggressive at times with his own shot. His shot, every time he shoots, you think it's going to go in. It just looks nice every time he shoots. So I know when we did our first podcast together, one big thing we talked about was if Syracuse went to an eight-man rotation, fully healthy, obviously your starting five is probably JJ, Judah, Chris, Benny, and Naheem. And then our first three off the bench, we discussed a lot. And I know I picked Kyle, Chance, and Malik. Well, Justin's playing his way into a possible 9-man rotation at the end of the season. So props to him for taking this moment and running with it with Benny being suspended. He's definitely made the most of his time. And like you said, I think as he grows as a player and under Adrian Autry, I think he could be a very good player come junior and senior season.
Yeah. I mean, admittedly, when the season tipped off, I was like, I don't know where Taylor fits in. Without seeing them play, I was like, I feel like he's the odd man out, and he's like, okay, like he's obviously not. Like, he's making himself, like we said, he's making himself unsittable.
It seems like I mean, another big thing we always talk about is 3-point shooting, and he's hitting his threes, right? So, like, Syracuse is going to need a guy to be consistent from three, and that could be Justin Taylor at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think we both agree it's got to be both of them for sure if they're going to reach optimal levels. But right now, he is the most consistent. Trying to see based on so far this year, where is he? Let me look at these numbers real quick. And again, it's only 2 games. But, Judah's at 42.9%, actually. JJ's over 6. Kadir's 0 for 2. Justin Taylor's 4 for 9 at 44.4%. Chris Bell's at 3 for 11 at 27.3%. Kyle Cuff 2 for 5 at 40%. So only 2 games, but again, he's definitely been the best shooter on the roster. 4 for 9, which to me means you should probably shoot more. So that was all last year.
And really, you said Chris Bell on the season's 3 for 11, but if you go back and look at his 11 threes, none of them are bad shots, really. I mean, they're all in flow, in the rhythm of the game, open, things like that. And again, the numbers will even out at some point during the season. So just trust your shot, trust yourself, trust your teammates. And obviously your shot's going to fall.
Yeah. All right, so Kyle Cuff, only 9 minutes tonight. But again, I still like when he's on the floor. He's a foul machine, though. 9 minutes, 3 fouls. He had 3 points, 2 turnovers tonight, a steal. He was 1 for 2 from behind the arc. I don't know. I just feel like he's kind of a very settled. I don't know if settling is the right word, but he kind of just he just seems steady.
He's to
Go
me,
ahead.
he's exceeded all expectations in 2 games that I
100%.
had for him this season.
100%. He's another one of those guys who I was like, where's he going to play? Like, is he?
But again, this is the thing, right? So he's a guard. He's a smaller guard, right? So if they don't play a 3 guard rotation and JJ and Judah have games like they had tonight, it's going to be tough to put him on the floor, which
100%.
you're okay with, right? Because
Yeah,
when you need
that's a
him,
good
you
thing.
know he's going to be ready and you know he's going to come out and do what he's got to do to be successful on the floor.
Yeah.
And like obviously you couldn't really play 3 guards tonight. It would have been tough. But yeah, I mean Kyle, he's exceeded all expectations so far that I had for him. I know he was one of my 3 guys off the bench that I mentioned. I also mentioned him as one of the guys that outside of the big 3, if somebody got hurt, he was one of my 2 guys. So I know I had a little bit high expectations of him being a role player, but he's to me in the 4 games that we've watched, he's been more than just a role player.
Yeah, no, he's been very key to the rotation in general. I feel I don't get like worried when he's on the floor. I feel very like he's steady. Malik, 22 minutes tonight, 3 for 3 from the field, 4 boards, an assist, 3 steals. Well, he might lead this team in steals by the end of the year.
And one thing I will say is like we mentioned Malik earlier. He just seems out of place playing at the 5. Obviously, that 6 points, 4 rebounds, 3 for 3 from the field, 3 steals. You'll take any night from any bench player. But I feel like that's one thing I wanted to mention. You mentioned when we were talking about Naheem and pick and rolls and how you're going to use players. I think one thing Malik is really, I won't say needs to work on, but we should put in some extra work is his mid-range jump shot, because playing in pick and roll and playing with a lot of these players on this team, that could be a deadly weapon for Syracuse if he can hit just to where teams have to respect him shooting mid-range jump shots at the end of the day.
Yeah, be great. So yeah, he Malik was Malik. Cope was kind of 5 points, 4 boards, an assist. It says 0 turnovers. I feel like I remembered him having one. But yeah, he seemed kind of like Cartier seemed like he never kind of got into a flow tonight.
No.
And I think he had a couple good takes. He did a couple things really well. But yeah, he was a little less. He's one of those guys though where he didn't play bad, but he's such an impactful, charismatic, exuberant kind of guy that if he's not doing something, that's like
he's like we've talked about him. He's like what everybody says, a Sour Patch Kid. 1 minute he's sweet, the next minute he's sour. So like he has a good play, then he'll have a bad play. But like you said, 5 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 of 4. He didn't shoot any threes. I know he was 0-2 in game 1. So like he came out, played 16 minutes, played his role, defended. He had a nice drive and dunk in the first half. But like that's what Quadir does, right? And Quadir, I mean, maybe when Benny gets back and if Chance comes back later in the season, I mean, Quadir could be that odd man out of the rotation. But again, he's a guy that if you needed a guy like him to come in, you know he's not gonna he's gonna bring the energy. He's gonna go for loose balls, try to get rebounds. They just the little things like that you ask for guys off the bench.
Yeah, and like we said, if Judah and JJ are playing well, and then if one of Chris Bell or Justin Taylor are playing well,
there's not many spots, right? And like
there's only so many people who can play. So it's kind of hard to find.
Throw Benny in that too, right? Like if Benny's having a good game, Benny's not coming off the floor.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just we'll see. But it's going to be one of those things where guys are going to have to they're going to be asked to be good teammates and to win. It's not your time or it's not your night or things are not even that it's not your night, but if things are going well for somebody else, that awesome. It's about us, right? It's about us. So I think that is going to be, and again, in the transfer portal world, that's going to be something that is if Syracuse has some success this year, like legit success, then they're going to the staff's going to have to monitor that stuff, right? Like just keeping everybody happy, making sure everybody's doing what they need to do, and not showing any. I'm not saying show anybody any favors or anything like that at all, but it's something to be aware of. And these guys, the coaching staff's not just thinking about this roster; they're thinking about the next year's roster and who's going to stay, who's going to go, and what are the important pieces for us. They see them every day in practice. They know who's developing and growing. So I think that's definitely something to kind of think about too.
Yeah, and like you said, if Syracuse goes back to the old days, right, where making the tournament, making runs, having great years, does Syracuse become one of those destinations for those top transfers? Like I said, I watched Baylor Auburn last night, and Baylor had 2 guards from the transfer portal that were players of the year in their conferences last year. So, like, does Syracuse become a destination for guys like that as well?
For guys like Clarence Daniels.
Yes.
For guys like seriously, I mean, like for guys like that, like that would be awesome. That'd be awesome. I'd love for that to be a thing. I don't see why it wouldn't be. And before transferring was a big thing, Syracuse has had, historically some good luck with transfers. So I think that's definitely a possibility as well. So those are the
one interesting note. Just one interesting note I'll throw out here. There was no Patterson again tonight, no Hema again tonight, and Peter Carey did not see the floor tonight. So we saw the traditional one big, and then we kind of pieced things together around that after that. So
I think that made sense.
I would imagine that within the next couple weeks, Syracuse will William Patterson will most likely redshirt to have the extra year. I don't know what's up with Hema. Truthfully, he looked fine on the bench tonight. I don't know if it's just they just don't think they need him in games like this, or if he's
I don't know,
not healthy. Naheem McLeod did not wear a wrap on his hand at all, and in the locker room, I was told after the game he did not have a wrap on it at all either. So that's also a good sign.
Yeah.
But yeah,
awesome.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens when we start playing bigger opponents and things like that. If Hema does get run, if we go to Peter Carey off the bench, it just be interesting to see what happens at that point.
Yeah, agreed. So the Orange have Colgate in 6 days. A lot of time to get things ready. Colgate's 1-0. They beat Brown by 2 the other night. As far as they go, right, they don't have, thank God, they don't have Tucker Richardson anymore. Keegan Records is still around, the big guy. Ryan Moffitt's still around. Braden Smith, the point guard from last year. So they returned some guys, but they also have some other players who are kind of new or are into bigger roles on their team. Nothing too crazy about their stats. I mean, they were 6 for 18 from 3. They had 12 assists on 25 buckets, turning over 14 times. So nothing too crazy about their stats. Again, they're playing Brown, who is not anticipated to be that great, but they actually dropped 12 spots in KenPom after that game, even though they won. Syracuse right now, as we speak, started at 105. I think most of the games are plugged into KenPom right now. They're down to 110. Which surprised me after the offensive output. But, and again, these are very whatever. But right now, 75th best offense, 186th best defense for Syracuse right now after a very, very small sample size. Are they the only team in the country that's played 2 games so far? They might be.
I think so.
Well, SMU's played 2. Future ACC member SMU has played 2.
I will say, Syracuse fans moving forward after Colgate, the schedule does get tougher. Obviously, we play Tennessee in our first round matchup in Maui, and who knows who we play after that. But then when we get back from Maui, we play LSU, who's going to be tough. We go to Virginia, an early ACC game, December 2nd. Then we have Cornell, Georgetown, and Oregon before we finish up with Niagara. And then we jump right back into ACC play. So the schedule is going to get tougher. There's really, outside of these first 2 games that they played, there really is no walkthrough games. Syracuse's schedule is very difficult this year. Their non-conference schedule.
Dude, like that, Colgate is probably a tournament team. Tennessee is. You're going to probably play 2, maybe 3, 1, maybe 2 more in Maui tournament teams. LSU's going to be right there. UVA is going to be right there. Cornell's probably is right there with Princeton in their conference. Georgetown sucks. Oregon is right there.
And then we have Niagara.
And then you have Niagara, and that's the last break, right?
Yeah.
So
your ACC play.
You're about to play potentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 tournament teams in the span of a month. Okay?
Yeah. So you're really going to see what this team can do.
Quick.
Listen, I will say one thing. Don't get too high or too low.
Yeah.
Obviously this team's they're not going to win them all. Do not expect them to win them all. They're going to hit bumps. They're going to hit a lot. So, but it'll be very good to see what this team can do and what to expect from this team when we head into ACC play.
And we'll dive in. We'll dive into that when it gets a little bit closer after Colgate. But Tennessee or Gonzaga did just lose one of their starters, I believe.
Top player. He was like a transfer kid. He was expected to be like one of their best players on the team. So
I'm going to imagine if Syracuse beats Tennessee, they'll get Purdue in the next round. If they lose to Tennessee, they'll beat Gonzaga, or they'll have Gonzaga in the next round. Gonzaga is, I think, a little highly ranked right now. Tennessee's going to be a tough game for Syracuse to get. I think Syracuse can beat Gonzaga on a good night, and I think they can beat UCLA on the other side of the bracket. Obviously, if they get Chaminade, that's a good thing. But we can talk about that when we get there. We're going to worry about Colgate. We're going to take a couple of days off from the pod and so let some other things happen. And Colgate doesn't play again until they come to town either. So that'll be both these teams will have plenty of time to get ready for each other. And that'll be an interesting one. That'll be something that we'll definitely be paying close attention to and seeing how these guys respond to the nightmare that has been Colgate for the last 2 seasons. So
some recruiting news for Syracuse fans. Power forward, or should I say forward, because we don't label guys in college. They're guards, forwards. Donnie Freeman signed his letter today for Syracuse next year, and I'm also reading that Elijah Moore will be signing his Saturday. So 2 very important guys for the future, especially next year, are look to be locked in for Syracuse, which is a very exciting thing.
Yeah, I like that. I feel like Moore's a good shooter, right? And I feel like Freeman is that kind of guy we've been missing, like a Brissett kind, like a physical forward who can bang and make plays. Like we have Malik, we have Benny, we have these guys. They're just kind of long. We've missed. We haven't had like a physical presence that's not like a post player, but a guy who can kind of play 3 and 4.
Like you said, the earliest one that I can think of is a O'Shea Brissett, or like a guy kind of like
even a Roberson type guy.
Roberson, better offensively, but Roberson.
Yeah. But that same kind of body and player type, where again we need dudes that can rebound right now, right? And he's he's a guy who can come in and make an impact. I'm trying to think who else would fit his mold.
I mean, the physicalness. You could
Quincy maybe a little bit too.
You'd have to go back a little bit, but Paul Harris, kind of that toughness, physicalness type of player. Obviously, like I said, he's more far ahead offensively.
Man, how fun would Paul Harris be on this team? Oh my God, that would be so much fun.
I will say, if I've thought about that, if you could take one old Syracuse player to put on this team,
we have to make a pot on that one. Yeah,
be successful. Who would it be?
But you got to trade a starter.
Huh?
But you got to trade a starter.
I'm going center. I'm taking a big I'm taking a big, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I think I would go. I know he didn't really play center a lot with Syracuse. He more played power forward, but I think Rick Jackson, prime Rick Jackson, would be a nice addition to this team.
Man, give this team a Renze though. Give this team a
Or
Renze.
Renza, yes.
It's over.
Or
give this team Fab.
Rest in peace, Fab Mello. You put him. I mean, people don't realize how underrated he was.
He was no joke. Yeah.
But I mean, shit. You could go back 1 year, right? And if he didn't end up going to the NBA draft, could you imagine if somehow we could have retained Cole Swider and he plays the forward position on this team with the way he ended the season last year? Like, it gives you a knockdown 3-point shooter. So, like, I mean, there's just things you can look at. But listen, this team, they've played good offensively in 2 games. Obviously, some defensive things to work on, but to see them come out and score 89 points tonight was definitely pretty impressive. And I thought, like you said, I don't think anybody really played bad. I thought everybody contributed, played well when they were on the floor. So that's all you can really ask for. And one quick note I wanted to add. Being at the game, you notice like little things more than watching on TV because obviously you can't see everything going on. But it seems like Adrian Autry, when things don't go right or a guy makes a mistake, he's quick to pull guys, which I love. And it doesn't matter who it is. Like I know Judah kind of turned the ball over, put his head down type of thing, and Kyle got right off the bench and Judah came to sit down. Yeah. So it doesn't matter who you are on the team, if you're the star or not. You got to buy in. You got to do the little things, right? So it's nice to see, obviously, at the end of the day. So I just there's one thing I really wanted to point out.
Yeah. Like I said, you had some terrible seats. That was rough. rough life over there. Oh, yeah, before we go, though, picks, right? 4-0 on the year.
No,
right?
I was like 13 and a half. I'm sitting there watching the game, and there was a little section of like six students sitting in the student section, and you could tell when Syracuse got the layup to go up 14, they were all cheering, and then the dunk happened, and they're all standing over there like this.
I knew it was coming. So,
you can never go against Vegas, right? Vegas knows everything.
I'm 4-0, man. I might start putting bets in these games. I'm not in New York. I can start betting on these things.
I know you can. I can't do that.
So they just beat the spread. Well, Canisius got beat the spread there by 1 point, and
they blew the over under out of the water.
I knew they would because I knew that was an easy one. I should have taken that bet for real, like with the actual money. I figured that would happen because they just weren't. Canisius was not very good defensively last year, and Syracuse I think we will score this year, which is nice.
Now, if the defensive side of the ball can come along, it's only going to be that much better for this team.
And the offense will be better where the defense gets stops too. But I digress. Syracuse, 89-77 victory. Go to 2-0 on the year. Colgate is up next. They'll get 6 days to prep for those guys, and we'll see what Autry and company come up with on that. And we'll be here to give you our pregame on that as well. Maybe I'll try and get some film on Colgate, and we can kind of watch them, kind of see a little bit about how they do things, although we're pretty familiar with how they roll. So,
they've come in and shot the lights out of the dome in the past 2 years.
So they won't be playing against the zone this time bound. But again, that's a team coming off an NCAA tournament appearance. It was right there. I think it was Wisconsin last year. Was Wisconsin?
Yes.
Yeah, right there with them for a little while before Wisconsin kind of went off. Anything else you want to add before we go?
Nope.
All right.
If any of you are interested in what former Syracuse players are doing on their new teams in their first game, just a quick recap. Symir had a nice game. He had 12 points and I think 6 or 7 assists for Binghamton. Played a very nice game overall. Joe Girard played 25 minutes, hit 1 3, finished with 3 points. But I think Clemson ended up blowing out whoever they played.
Yeah.
And Jesse Edwards had an okay game, kind of your normal Syracuse Jesse game where he has good moments and he has some bad moments. So, but obviously they're not out Syracuse anymore. So they can hopefully be successful where you are now. But we're focused on the guys on this team and what's ahead.
Absolutely. I'm looking at Samir's numbers though, man. 40 minutes, 12 points, 6 assists, 8 turnovers.
Yeah, especially
Woo!
at the Binghamton level, that's tough.
Yeah,
But
they're playing Northwestern, so
I think I did see just around the league or around college basketball. I know there wasn't. I don't think there was much going on tonight.
pretty quiet night. Yeah,
But I think I saw Farley Dickinson blew Penn State out of the water tonight.
I saw that score too. I was like, is that a? It was Penn State Brandywine.
Oh, was it? I saw the
Whatever.
logo, right? And I was like,
They have the same logo, but yeah, it's Penn State Brandywine. Whatever the heck that is.
But FAU, Florida Atlantic University, had an amazing season last year.
Yeah.
They're actually ranked top 10. They're number 10 in the country. They beat Loyola Chicago by 13 tonight. So
and Arizona State's playing Mississippi State right now, but beyond that, there's not a lot. There's not a lot going on.
I know. I think next week we start to get some.
Yeah,
I think like Monday, isn't Monday Big Monday or that big
so.
or Tuesday or something like that. Oh yeah, Tuesday you have Duke, Michigan State at 7, Marquette versus Illinois, Kansas, Kentucky. So you have a couple of good games coming next week, next Tuesday.
Tomorrow, New Mexico, St. Mary's, James Madison, baby. And Kent State play tomorrow. That's a big one. And then on
Michigan State plays tomorrow. We'll see if they can bounce back from their loss.
And then Friday, Arizona Duke Friday, Tennessee, Wisconsin, San Diego State. Friday's when everything gets rolling. You got Arizona Duke, Tennessee, Wisconsin, San Diego State, BYU, Texas A&M, Ohio State, UVA, Florida, Memphis, Missouri, Virginia Tech, South Carolina, Wake, Georgia, UCF, Miami. So a whole bunch of nice games.
Texas A&M, Ohio State. If you're from the Syracuse area, you can watch Lemoyne again. Lemoyne plays Villanova on FS1. It'll be their second ever Division I game. They played Georgetown to start the season.
Throwing them to the dogs, aren't they, early?
And I think Lemoyne women played Colorado tonight, who Colorado upset number 1 LSU in Vegas the other night.
How'd that go?
Lemoyne women ended up losing. I do not know the score, but I do know they ended up losing. But hey, I mean, you're finally in Division I. Congrats to you. And I think SU women are back in action. I want to say Friday night. I think they're at home. Syracuse men's soccer ended up losing 3-1 tonight against North Carolina. I heard it was almost a sellout crowd at Syracuse to watch the game. So
rough.
Thank you, crowd, for showing out. Next up is the NCAA tournament for soccer. So we'll see what happens. Maybe we can repeat as champs. But I think that's it for tonight. Thank you all for following us, and share the word. And any questions you guys may have, you can tweet us on our Twitters, or you can comment on the video below.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Also, it was Colorado 97, Lemoyne 38 tonight.
So they got blown out.
So there's that. That's it from us. We'll see you guys soon. Enjoy the week without having to stay up too late watching games, listening to podcasts, doing coverage. And we'll see you guys for Colgate on Tuesday. On behalf of Nick Peckham, we're out of here. Keep the faith. We'll see you soon.